What is up, friends? We are back here talking golf at oddschecker.com/US and LIV Season 2, the season premiere, I guess, of Season 2, found on the CW this week in Mexico, Mayakoba, formerly from the PGA Tour. So it's a course us golf fans are quite familiar with. I'll be honest, it's a level of player, though, playing this golf course that as golf fans we're not really familiar with. When we see that OHL Mayakoba Classic historically on the PGA Tour, it's a it's a swing season island event essentially. So we get nothing in terms of that high end talent we'll be seeing this week. I'm here with my guy Brian Kirschner. Me and Brian will be talking LIV all season long. Don't worry, friends. Still doing that PGA stuff. You find me and Andy Lack doing that weekly here at OddsChecker. But LIV Golf, it exists, and we can bet on it. And one thing they've nailed, for all the criticism, and we will make jokes here, low-hanging fruit jokes will not be turned away here. We make fun of the PGA. We've been doing it for the last decade. We're allowed to make fun of LIV too plenty. And sometimes they make it easy for us, and we will not turn down those opportunities. But we will still be betting it, certainly. So, Brian, here we are, LIV Season 2. We start in Mexico. Any overall, I guess, thoughts, any expectations you might have for the, maybe they've sorted out some of the kinks that held them back in year two, in year one. I'm not certain if there'll be a bigger takeoff this year, but hey, we're going to give them a chance.
Yeah, I think with the additions recently, of Munoz, Mito, even Steele, like Danny Lee, I think that actually helps them a little bit because they're rounding out and getting the guys out of the league that literally no one knows, not even hardcore golf fans. So I think that just having more familiar names in the field and having a stronger 60-man field, I think really helps when betting it. And I think it will be more attractive to people because they know some of these guys and they're guys that people have bet on the PGA Tour for years. So I do think the recent additions, even though there are no big stars, I think the fact that we're still familiar with them from their time on the PGA Tour, I do think helps people that want to bet on it and want action on a weekly basis. So I'm excited for this show. I'm excited for the season in terms of betting on it. And I'm excited to see who the random winners turn out to be. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
And, full disclosure, last season, trying to figure out how Winner's Circle was going to work time and time again, I did not see the Charles, the Stenson win coming, and it either felt like it was really random or guys sort of at the very top, obviously Dustin and Cam having their success as well. But you hit it on it. You mentioned some of the guys that are recently there. And whether you like LIV or hate LIV, it's easy to move the goalposts in how you want to make an argument, for LIV and has it been successful? Has it not been successful? They've thrown a lot of money at it. They haven't gotten any money back. But, ask anybody who has started a business on that scale through a first year. It isn't cheap, and I'm not here to make excuses for them. I'm only here to say that a year ago it didn't exist. A year ago it didn't exist, and a lot of people at the Masters said it would never exist. And we are here a year later, or less than a year later, and this roster is impressive. It's impressive. From nothing to this in less than a year, it's impressive. Can they make their money? Are people going to watch? Those are all things to debate. All that being said, Brian, I do have to feel you could argue maybe a little underwhelming in an off-season free agency. It was almost like a Pittsburgh Pirates free agency. You just saw from signing Cam Smith essentially at the end of last PGA Tour season.
Yeah.
PGA fans, there are a lot of big gulps like, oh my God, who is next? So yes, I'm a fan of Thomas Pieters. I don't hate Brandon Steele. I can make jokes about Danny Lee. But it's not, as a PGA fan, I'm also relieved that is the best they could do in the offseason after season one.
Definitely, because, we've seen it on the PGA Tour, how LIV has affected it this season with the strength of field and some guys missing that we all obviously miss and wish we could still bet on the PGA Tour. But yeah, I mean, from going from taking the reigning Open Championship, second best player in the world, DJ, two-time major champ, get Neiman, who's a guy that people loved on the PGA Tour. That's a supreme talent and it is extremely impressive to watch. Obviously, winning the Genesis last year, those were the three massive gets. And, now they kind of just got some middle of the road guys who, I just think round out the field a little bit and make it a little bit easier, like I stated before, because, we know these guys. We know what they're good at. We've seen them on the PGA Tour. So, again, how many people are going to turn in to see Thomas Peters and Brendan Steele? I don't know, but it at least makes the golf fan a little bit more familiar with
Yeah.
the
And
field
they've
and the
gotten it
events.
right. They've gotten it right in the sense that they made a lot of mistakes and they're easy to point out. And time will tell. But the one home run that they've done, and it's an easy one, was the schedule.
Yeah.
Put an event against, look at that PGA schedule, see who the weakest links are, and let's put Cam and DJ on TV opposite that. Let's put Bryson on TV opposite that. Because people take in golf differently than any other sport. You could watch an old tournament from 2008 right now if you're entertained by the leaderboard. You just want to see great players hitting golf shots. And if you're flipping through a channel and you see Bryson DeChambeau lining up a drive or Phil Mickelson lining up a flop shot, I think people will probably stop and watch. Now, the question is, we'll say, I always use my dad. He's 80 years old. He's the guy that can, the cars, the watches, the prescription meds, they're all sort of targeted to people like him. I don't know that he knows that golf's on CBS, NBC. Will he find this? If he finds it, he will watch it for a little bit. You got any other thoughts on big picture LIV, or you want to get right into this Mayakoba board?
Yeah, I think big picture betting LIV, like my personal thoughts about the season and how to go about it. Like, I don't personally think there is much of a reason to go below that kind of 15-1 range. Last year, we have winners of Charles Schwartzel, Brennan Grace, Stenson, DJ Cam, Chikara, and Brooks. Only two of them were really at horrible odds. The rest were at very favorable odds, 30-1 and up. And like we've talked about, there's been some randomness. So I'm willing to take more of a shot down the board because I know it's a small sample size, but we've only had two of the very, very elites win thus far. And I don't want to spend all my money on them. So, for this show, for this season, I definitely want to look a little bit more down the board because with the condensed field, with the no cut, with the amount of players in the field, it makes it a lot more variance. And these longer shots can win. So that's kind of my overall strategy for the year and this show and in betting LIV Golf in 2023.
And you're probably onto something because, as I alluded to, I had a losing strategy last year. I was looking more in like the tight end first touchdown price range, that second tier, those 16, 14, 18, 12-1 guys. That second tier of golfer really didn't come up at all in LIV last year, and we'll see if I learn my lesson as we talk through this one. So as I load up the OddsChecker US grid here, Dustin Johnson, he is our favorite at 8-1. Cam Smith's at 11. Maybe a bit of a surprise, but the Chilean Latin American Joaquim Neiman jumping Cam Smith on the odds board plus 850. I'm seeing over at Caesar Sportsbook when looking at this grid, and maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, Brian, but seeing Abe answer 12-1, just 1 point longer than Cam Smith. He was a guy I was hoping to maybe catch a number on. We're in Mexico. Maybe that's just such a low-hanging fruit dot for me to connect, but he played great over in the Middle East, bringing home that win. And I am going to take a strategy of this week, which could be dangerous. Dustin and Cam, I think maybe you could get these guys not in their best form early in the year. I don't want to go as far to say the word fade, with players like that at the very top, but I have absolutely zero interest in those guys. So those are the 4 players under 15 to 1. You sort of mentioned it. You're looking deeper, so I obviously assume nothing here is going to be attractive for you.
No, nothing here, but it is the Abe answer number is a shame, and the sports books were very smart with that number. 2 top 10. I think the good thing about this week, and I think the reason it will be a little bit bet more, is because we've seen this course on the PGA Tour. We've seen some of these guys play here, and Abe Answer has been really good at Mayakoba with 2 top 10 finishes just off the win at the Saudi International. Shorter course, accuracy off the tee. Like, this is an Abe answer course. So it really does suck to see him at 12 to 1. He would be the only person I believe would be worth your money here, but I am not willing to bet on someone this low. But this is an absolute perfect Abe answer track. It's obviously in Mexico, and he's played well here when he was on the PGA Tour, and he's playing great golf right now. All signs point to Abe answer this week at 12 to 1.
So it's a very crowded next tier, and maybe I should have rounded out with more names under that 20 to 1 number. But Paul Casey, Patrick Reed, Sergio Garcia, Taylor Gooch, they round out the under 20 to 1 names, Brian. My first bet comes in at 20 to 1 over at Bet365. It's the highest number using that OddsChecker grid. He's as low as 16. It is the Chilean Mito Pereira. I'm on Mito this week. I feel like, okay, as I'm making my first bet here, this is probably the best time to talk about. You've talked about what part of the odds boards that maybe you want to attack in LIV Golf, but you cannot bet LIV Golf unless sorry, I take that back. Let me start over. You're lying to us if you tell us you're betting on LIV Golf and not being a semblance of an armchair psychologist. How do we know what the new normal is for these guys? Just in the same way when LIV started last year, Brian, it's the middle of a season. It's right around majors, all the controversy. You don't know how guys were going to sort of embrace their new normal. Obviously, they're happy they got paid. They get paid before they even step on the golf course, like your favorite starting pitcher. So there is a level of armchair psychologist. Who is motivated? Who wants this? Just like in any PGA Tour season, which players do we maybe remember need a little time to start their engine before we see their best golf? Who's R&R'ing with the family, practicing very little. You are drawing your own conclusions. You're using 500 puzzle pieces from Instagram. Like, what have these guys been up to? Maybe they've been up to nothing. Have they been hurt? Who knows? So with me, it's the former PGA Tour rookie, now making his LIV debut. Mito Pereira will be highly motivated for this one. Maybe it's a little shorter than I would have liked to have started my card this week, but I'm on the Chilean Mito 20 to 1. My armchair psychology, a minor from Western Ontario, says that's the pick for me.
And there's another good thing that you could do when betting this. There's a little bit of kind of WWE action where you can say LIV wants a new get to win this week. It would be in their best interest to get someone that they just picked up to win this week. I don't know if they can control the outcome of the tournament, but we saw it with Henrik Stenson. Sometimes when these guys first start and first get on the scene, they go out and win. Stenson in his first tournament on LIV won. Cam won shortly after he started. So I think there is something to maybe betting these guys in one of their first 3 events, because we've just seen that a little bit so far. So I do think targeting their new gets that haven't played any LIV events so far, I think could be a very good strategy. So I like Mito at 20 to 1. I think it's a good bet.
Speaking of other newbies, it's that Thomas Pieters at 20 to 1. I'm not going to lie, I swam around that one for a bit, but guy like Brooks Koepka sitting at 28 to 1 on the grid, as low as 22. We can keep going farther back. Stop me if there's any bet for you, but I guess my second bet is going to come up before Brian enters the fray with his first. I'm in on Carlos Ortiz. I was able to snag a 40 at Bet Rivers earlier today. It is down to 35. He has an excellent track record at this course. I believe 3 top 10s here. Another native of Mexico playing in his homeland. Another he was over on LIV last year. Sorry, sometimes it can get confusing, but I saw this number on Ortiz, and I'll go as far to say I played it with the placings. Some books allow you to play each ways. I have done that, Brian. It comes with 5 places, so it's double my bet, and it gets split in half on the win, half on the top 5. We're in such a small field on a course that he's played great at before. I do believe maybe in LIV, I never play each ways, but I do feel like in LIV maybe there are more opportunities when it comes to the placing markets. But your thoughts on that, and give me your first bet on the board.
I am betting Ortiz at 35-1. I think it's a really great bet. And again, this is the great thing about this week is that we have course history here. 9th in 2014, 2nd in 2019, 8th in 2020. It's obviously a track he fits well at and plays well at. And at 35-1 in this field, like I really do think there is some value there. So I like Ortiz at 35-1. The second guy I'm betting, you can get him at 40-1 currently on Bet Rivers. I know he's one of your favorite golfers on tour. I'm going with HV3. This is a guy that we were betting on the PGA Tour around this price. And, I just think that he's a better golfer than some of the guys he's surrounded by, like Dean Byrne, Wiesviger, and Dean Burnmeister, and Charles Howell. Like, I just think he's a higher caliber of player. And I know he never got it done on the PGA Tour, but he obviously won that Saudi Invitational that had a really very good leaderboard. And, I just think he is good at golf, and he plays well at shorter courses. He's played well at the RBC Heritage. And I think that if he were to play in the swing season on the PGA Tour and play at Mayakoba, he would be around this price. And I just think there's some value there. So I really like Varner at 40-1 on Bet Rivers, and I will be placing a wager on that.
You might have talked me into that one. I'm a big HV3 stan. I'd love to see him and the Range Goats get it going early this season. So I do like that. And you make up a lot of great points. I think the number seems fair for his talent. And I believe there is a course fit there as well that might not be there with some of the other top players. So now we're hitting 50, and there's Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah, I think we need to have a conversation about Bryson DeChambeau, and just kind of, there is a case to be made that you should bet Bryson DeChambeau at 50-1 every single week, no matter the course. Do you see that? Because it is truly unbelievable how far he has fallen off to winning a U.S. Open, being one of the most dominant PGA Tour players, to being at the same price at LIV Mayakoba as Charles Howell III. I don't personally understand it, and I think that I am not going to start it this week, but I think there is a case to be made that you should bet Bryson DeChambeau at 50-1 every single week he plays on LIV, because he is just too talented. But I'm wondering your thoughts on that.
I'm not betting this. He's going through some things. It doesn't seem like a course fit, but there's no way we're going to get 50-1, say, when they're at Bedminster, which I would argue is an ideal place for him. And I lost money on Bryson at Bedminster LIV last year. So we're here at these deeper odds, and I haven't seen people picking Bryson. I have seen people picking Charles Howell in, for whatever that is worth. Brian. So let's sort of round this thing out. Any long shots that have your eye this week on the LIV board? You've got the Ortiz pick, you've got the Varner pick. Any triple digits or just in front if someone needed a LIV long shot this week?
Chikara. I'm telling you, Geoff, I'm betting Chikara every single week on LIV, because I just think he is supremely talented. He's already shown that he can win in these fields. And yes, it was a much better course fit, but I just think he is so talented, and he has such a weapon off the tee that I just think he can, kind of contend anywhere.
Listen, for all of us losers that keep betting Taylor Montgomery on the PGA Tour, we could bet a winner on the LIV Tour at double the number in a much smaller field. So yeah,
80-1 on Bet Rivers. I think it's a really good bet, and he is someone that again, I don't want it to get old on this show, but I'm just letting you guys know that I will be betting on Chikara every single week because he's going to be at really great odds. He's already shown he can win. He has an elite skill set with off the tee, and I think he's young and he's hungry, and 80-1 is a fantastic price. So I will be on Chikara this week and most weeks coming up.
Sounds good. I love the ceiling play on the young gun there. We love to bet our young guns on PGA. Why not the young gun live superstar? Using the grid, I'm seeing a huge discrepancy on one of the newbies, though, because we have a high water mark on Danny Lee at 100-1 over at Bet365, but I'm seeing it as low as 66 over at Bet Rivers. For all the questions of guys, are they ready? Have they been preparing? Danny Lee's literally walking off the tour. Was that Riv last week? Was that a Muni driving range on Wednesday night? Working on his game. Putter still sucks. Iron is there. Any love for Danny Lee?
Geoff, this is the best bet on the board. This is like easily the best bet on the board. Danny Lee, 100-1. He has a 7th at Mayakoba just in 2021, and he's played really well here all in his career. 2nd in 2018, 3rd in 2014. So this has been the spot he's actually played well. And I love the fact that you brought up that he's been playing on the PGA Tour at the Farmers, at the Waste, at the Genesis.
He's game ready.
He's ready to go, and he's 100
game ready. You do not know if DJ is game ready, if Cam Smith is game ready. Danny Lee is game ready at 100-1. I don't know what that means.
I know people were like wanting to bet him at the Honda. So, he checks a lot of boxes. Like, it's just a great bet. 100-1, has played well here in the past, has been in good form, and been playing top 5, top 10. I also love that. So, yeah, 100-1 on Danny Lee at 365. That is a plus EV play and something I will be on. So I'm hoping we can cash a nice long shot this week on Danny Lee. But I do endorse the top 5 and top 10 play.
Danny Lee was in the Honda field as of Monday. He is now in LIV Mayakoba, and Brian's favorite bet of the week, 100-1 for Brian Kirschner. I am Geoff Fienberg. This is the drive, LIV Mayakoba, oddschecker.com/US. We'll be back next. Well, I was going to say next week, but next time we're rolling out more LIV events. Smash that like. See you next time.